Okay, my last video was interrupted, but that's all right. This one will be at least 40 minutes. But right here I want to interject something, because this was written by a Rosicrucian, and I have noticed that people that are of certain persuasions are so sure that their way is the best way. And I'm not so sure. I do like reading what Rosicrucians say, but I've been able to find out things without being a member of their society. So this doesn't always ring true with me, because I think, well, then I would have to find you to get any information that is really, really helpful, like you say here. But nevertheless, I've found information on my own, and I've gone within my own self. And no matter how good an organization is, nothing beats going within your own self and talking to your God self, your own self. So I want to put that in, because I'm not necessarily believing they have the monopoly on the truth. But they do have some good truths in this book, as you will find out as I continue reading it. Okay, let me begin here. The Rosicrucian philosophy affirms that the human mind suffers from atrophy of certain essential capacities, which are capable of being acquired through Rosicrucian practices. This amply explains and justifies the enormous range of anomalies of human conduct. Genuine Rosicrucians are the direct inheritors of extraterrestrial visitors of extraordinary development, who taught them the total development of the mind. Pseudo-Rosicrucians are those who study and proclaim certain disciplines to strengthen the will, educate the character, and realize certain extrasensory perceptions, phenomena. Nevertheless, after all these practices, they still lack the qualities which we consider are atrophied in the human mind. In spite of all this, within man is hidden the mystery of mysteries, as he is the Son of God and essentially made in his image. He is a chained God within whom there is divine power and wisdom, but which cannot be used or known whilst living as a slave to materialism, as a slave to all sensations, pleasant or unpleasant, which are reached through the senses. The desire for comfort, greed, gluttony, arrogance, covetousness, vanity, and 1,000 different passionate conditions govern as lord and master the microcosm which we call man. The ego, which should be the master, is displaced by various desires, psychic and instinctive conditions which take possession and govern the complex machinery of the body vehicle of the soul. Man does not have only one ego, but thousands of different egos, which follow one after the other like a kaleidoscope, which constantly changes its design. Each one of these egos usurps the throne or specter which belongs to the legitimate and authentic ego. This divine ego is as a king, constantly being dethroned and imprisoned by his subjects. One who has felt a sort of inner pain of being alive has captured at that moment the suffering of the ego, which is constantly being displaced as the director of this microcosm. Man may be compared to a mansion full of servants who fruitlessly await a master who never arrives. Each one of these servants endeavors to usurp his place until he is in turn displaced by one stronger than himself, who also in turn will be duly expelled. This is a terrible vacuum or weariness of life which is so common in these days. It is the ego which suffers intensely and does not desire to continue living under such adverse conditions. If this situation continues too long, the ego or soul may leave the body, transforming the individual into the living dead, since only an animal or instinctive condition maintains life in the body. Man, contrary to general belief, has none of those qualities which we could call consciousness, personality, liberty, or free will, as all his decisions are the product of automatism, or external influences. Life for him lapses in a twilight state of lethargy, caused by the constant change of egos. We are amply aware of hypnotism, but never have we thought that this could be practiced collectively and simultaneously on humanity by planetary forces which seek their own benefit at the expense of human auto-determination. These planetary forces endeavor to maintain humanity dormant so that the truth and reality are never revealed. From birth until death, the individual lives in the deepest of sleeps, and all that happens is dreamt. He believes he is awake, but he is only dreaming. He believes he is free, he is dreaming of freedom. He believes he has a will of his own, but only dreams it is so. Common man has no consciousness, as he is a perfect, total, and complete machine. Only when he realizes his mechanical state is there a possibility of his obtaining freedom, will, and consciousness. Man does nothing under his own initiative. All happens simply as rain, the coming out of the sun, wind, or calm. He reacts under any circumstance exactly as a machine, which upon being stimulated does the specified work previously programmed. What dictates at all times the reaction of the subject is the recording of impressions, experiences, and knowledge in his brain cells, and which are a sort of magnetic tape which governs his conduct. This recording has been made by influences outside the individual, so that his personality, which is an assembly of cellular recordings, constitutes something like a projection of society's values. Each individual is a man-like automaton, produced by his parents, circumstances, environment, education, and the influence of other minds. This android, like a good robot, can only act combining data or circuits which have been implanted by those external influences. His ego is entirely obliterated and unable to act in the midst of this entanglement of circuits. Its reactions are therefore dictated by other minds and strange forces outside itself. Can it therefore be considered as free and with a mind of its own? We could say that a child is like a blank disc or magnetic tape on which are recorded or collected all the impressions, knowledge, emotions, and desires it experiences. The quality of this recording determines its future, as only that which is recorded in the mind can be used. All would be analyzed according to this scale of values, and therefore it would be impossible to see the truth. All human misfortunes and problems arise from an unfortunate mental recording. Occultism teaches one how to change all this, beginning by gradually erasing everything negative from the tape and replacing this with a positive recording. The psychiatrist is unable to penetrate deeply enough into the psyche of the individual, as he is unaware of the secrets of the mind. Only delving into the deepest strata of subconsciousness is it possible to bring to light childhood experiences in all their clarity, and deeper still, impressions received within the mother's womb. Occultism has the means of complete psychical penetration and totally changes the destiny and the life of an individual by a true mutation. Of course, in a book published for the man in the street, this method cannot be revealed, as in the wrong hands it could be a terrible weapon. We can only state that by means of adequate manipulation of certain forces is it possible to provoke the entire opening of the subconsciousness, like someone splitting an orange to see what is there inside. Chapter 3. The Spirit and the Soul. There is a great confusion as regards what is the soul and what is the spirit. Generally, these are considered synonymous. Let us see what the Rosicrucian philosophy says in this respect. Man is a spirit which inhabits a body and has a soul. Spirit he is, soul he has. The spirit is the divine, immortal, and eternal part, the divine spark of emanation from God, which we have within the deep recesses of ourself. This is the strength of God, the eternal and unquenchable light, which shines at crucial moments of our life. We could compare God to a large body of water, which eddying vertiginously sprayed millions of drops of water. Each one of these drops is the equivalent of the spirit of man. Therefore, man is a spirit incarnated in a body. The soul is the intelligent animal part, or what we call personality, which evolves gradually as a product of the spirit-body union. When man is sad or suffers a state of profound depression, it is generally the soul which is involved. On the other hand, when someone says, "I am who I am," it is the spirit speaking. The ultimate goal consists of wedding between the soul and the spirit. I believe that. A wedding between the soul and the spirit, for which it is necessary to cultivate the soul, giving it consciousness and intelligence. It is like a young animal or a small child upon whom we must impose our will to teach it obedience at all times, and not we who should obey the animal part. When the soul acquires conscience and intelligence, we can act at will with the forces of nature. The law of correspondence states, as it is above, it is below. As it is below, it is above. Applying this to this particular case, we can affirm that all that is within us is also outside of us, and, therefore, he who conquers his inner nature is also able to subdue his external nature. Alchemy, the traditional art of occultism, involves the transmutation of base metals into gold. In the spiritual aspect, this symbolizes the transmutation of base passions into virtues. The soul which is liberated from the dross of sentiment and unbridled passion is like a shining gold shield which protects the human being from harm and misery. As a manifestation of the soul, we can appreciate the characteristic stamp that the collective familiar soul impresses on all its members. Its features are not only physically alike, but there is also what we call a familiar likeness, something that can be sensed when meeting one of these. This collective soul can at times turn into a selfish and passionate tyrant, which brings disgrace and misery to the members of the group. If there is harmony and perfect union, it can bring prosperity, protection, wealth, and happiness. In the collective aspect, it is interesting to observe the soul of a country. All its inhabitants have similar idiosyncrasies, a special manner which does not arise from communal life. All foreigners arriving are quickly absorbed in this collective force, and they soon adopt the regional air until they become as natives. Toward this collective soul are drawn all public emotions, instincts, thoughts, and passions, and because of this, in order to succeed in any manner, to overcome mediocrity, it is necessary to rise above the vibration of this collective soul by strict personal discipline. I'll interject something here. I just moved to Texas, and in Texas, everything is big, and everybody wears the big hats. This is figuratively. They think we're so great, we're so big. I haven't caught on to that spirit of we're the biggest and we're the best. Because I don't see how that could be. Because good people come from everywhere. I know that. But I guess that's what he's talking about here. There's a collective kind of thinking that people in certain states or countries just seem to adopt. When I was born in Arkansas, and there's certain collective ideas about how people live and think who come from Arkansas. And I've come out of that too. I'm not of that collective mindset anymore. So that was my little interjection here. As the human being has a soul, animals, plants, and even minerals have a soul, for there is life in everything. As the Hermetic vibration principle states, nothing is stationary. Everything vibrates. In speaking of the soul, we should consider the heart, which is the center of psychic and emotional life. Great praise has been raised in its honor, and it is considered wise to act upon its dictates. The truth is that the heart, when not correctly educated, is the greatest enemy of the human being, because it constantly leads man to make mistakes. The heart is like the soul of a child. It immediately attracts any vibration or force which has the power to impress or drive a man to commit acts which he will subsequently repent. The invisible world which surrounds us is a receptacle where good and bad sentiments are attracted and taken at face value by the heart in expansive moments. Afterwards, the